Hello, hello.
Hello. All right. Well, I believe we have to put Studio Creator on my desktop in order to do the actual split.
Okay.
But I will be taking care of that in the next couple of weeks. I'm working on building my office and I'm going to be installing the podcast video room. So I'll get that set up at that point.
Okay. No
So,
problem.
whatever. This is what it is. And all right. We had a lot of people watching when we were trying to do that last one.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's always crazy though. I've noticed when you go live first, all of a sudden you start getting all these people popping up, and then if you leave and you come back, all of a sudden TikTok's not pushing you anymore because you've just like reconnected.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that happened to me this morning.
all right. Well, let's get this started. Hey everybody, welcome to the Jab, a interview talking point kind of show where we're going to discuss everything from politics to pop culture to society and just the musings of two middle-aged men. Um, we're going to hopefully entertain you and give you some education on a few things, and hopefully you enjoy it. I am the Bryan, and this is my co-host, Mr. J.
Hello, hello.
This is more his forte. Not so much probably live like this, but more video and TikTok than I've been doing. So everybody, enjoy what you're going to see here, and I'm going to hand it over to you for a second here, if I can get this switched up, which I believe I can by doing that.
All right, there you go. All right, hello, folks, and welcome to the Jab. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Mr. J. Uh, well, we just got a couple of topics to go over today, just to see if things that you don't wouldn't normally hear on mainstream media, would you? I mean, for instance, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this pharmacy walkout with CVS and Walgreens. Let's talk about that for a minute. Uh, it happened last month, and the biggest thing is what kind of an impact did it make? Brian, I'm going to ask you this question: what kind of impact did you think that this CVS and Walgreens walkout did?
Um, it's interesting. I feel like if you're in Europe and this happened, it would be national news for weeks. It would be protests in the streets. They'd be burning the Walgreens down. It would people would get very upset because all the information would come out to the public instantly, and it wouldn't be kind of pigeon-toed to just what the corporate media wants you to see or shareholders and whatnot. Um, it really is the fact of, there's some unionization in those groups. Not a lot, though, because what ends up happening is pharmacists are professionals. They make a lot of money. Their job is not easy, like doctors. So it's warranted they make that money. But it also doesn't mean that they're fighting to get minimum wage increased. So this creates a whole conundrum of, do we need to have more rights and more money and whatnot? Where in reality, coming from the pharmacy world myself, I was a manager at Walgreens and now actually currently am in a pharmacy, but over with a new company, which is much better. I have also left Walgreens. The work environment is very rough. The demands that are put on them, because the company is not backing the pharmacists. They're not backing the pharmacy techs. They're not backing the RXOMs or the basically it's a lead tech or a pharmacy manager that doesn't have the rights of a pharmacy manager. Because in most pharmacies, a pharmacy manager is a seasoned pharmacist who oversees pharmacy. Whereas Walgreens, I believe CVS does this, don't quote me on that, has a middle management level that basically does all the crap work without the pay. They get a couple bucks an hour over a tech. Some states, like Maine, in order to become a tech, you basically just sign your name, you write your name on an online document and pay $40 and you're a tech, as long as the pharmacist signs off on it. That's all it takes. If you don't have
Wow.
a criminal background and you pass the background check with the state of Maine, you're good. However, the pharmacist is responsible for you. So you screw up, the pharmacist gets hit. So they want to they don't just bring anybody in usually. But and they start getting desperate, and then they start bringing anybody in that can pass, the drug check and that kind of stuff, the basics. Some states are harder than that. There's also board certification, which is national, which you have to do some classes or 500 hours and do a test. And then you can work in the pharmacies usually, or count medication, stuff like that. There's still things at a pharmacy that a tech can't do. So the problem is that these pharmacists have to actually handle so much that even at their high rate of pay, it's burnout for them. And even if they're only doing 38, 40 hours a week, it's the equivalent of somebody who would, and I'm not diminishing the job here, but it'd be like doing 55 hours at Walmart or something, stocking shelves. It's a lot on a person. And most pharmacists are not young. Some of these people are 60, 70 years old and still doing it because there's pharmacy school is expensive and hard. And, it's the same reason we have doctor shortages and RN shortages and all this. It's not, there's a million CNAs out there. There's a million techs out there, but there's not a million doctors and a million pharmacists. And a pharmacist, some people don't know, is a doctor. It's a doctorate program. They are a
Yeah.
doctor. They just don't have the ability to write prescriptions. And perform surgery and such. That's about it. They can still somewhat diagnose, they can advise, they can do a lot of stuff. So I think, getting back to your point here, or your talking point here, is what ends up happening is you have these professionals get burnt out and they finally say, screw it, I'm walking out. The techs are burnt out because what some of the places paying minimum wage for this work, I'll tell you honestly from my position, it's not the hardest job in the world, but you can't be an idiot either. I mean, there is a lot to learn and understand. You have to be careful with what you're doing. Everything has to be checked 3 or 4 times. You have to remember a lot of stuff. You have to deal with insurance. You've got to deal with customers. You got to deal with controls. You've got people's lives in your hands a little bit. And in some places like Walgreens, the techs vaccinate. They're jabbing you.
Hmm.
Where my new place isn't just a pharmacist, which is great. I don't immunize. I don't do it. And nothing against it. It's just not my thing to be jabbing people. I don't want to go that route yet.
Yeah,
Um,
I hear
you
you.
know, so just I like doing I like doing the other stuff. I find joy in it. But that aside, so I think that creates the walkout problem. But the impact is it makes news in the United States the same way that, like, the auto workers when they go on strike, everybody's like, oh, the price of stuff's going to go up. I believe their cause. I understand, but I'm also not them, so I don't fully empathize with it. So I don't
Mm.
know. And then, the next thing happens. All of a sudden we have a war pop up. We have this pop up. And I'm not saying it's orchestrated. I'm just saying, people, most of the country's got a lot of tension issues, and they're watching here and all of a sudden they go, oh, look at that. And it goes from there. Those companies are multi-billion dollar companies. They'll take a hit for a while. They'll create a workforce initiative. They'll bring a bunch of people in. They'll get the laws changed where they can have, tech managers do as much as a pharmacist. I mean, who knows what they're going to pull off to do it? They've been around for over 100 years, and they'll keep going. So that's essentially what I think is going to end up happening. So I don't know if it actually created a lot of. I don't know if it's going to create much of a wave in changing the industry, but I do know the place I work at right now, of the staff of 7, 4 of them came from Walgreens. So what you had an exodus, and this wasn't even in a state where there was any walkouts. it just was general frustration and knowing that there is no room for advancement. Because that's another problem, that if you're a pharmacist, you're a pharmacist. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
you can leave CVS and go work at a hospital and you'll make almost double. I mean, you're talking local hospitals are paying 300K a year for a good pharmacist to run their programs, which is it's more than lawyers. Some
Well,
lawyers make,
yeah.
I mean,
Someplace.
it's more than a lot of doctors are making, honestly. Um, but and I want to say here, and again, not quoting me, I think a basic Walgreens in a rural area is about 160K a year to start as a pharmacist. You don't work Sundays, and you don't usually work past 6 or 7 o'clock at night unless you're at a 24 hour,
Right.
which
Right.
is a great job if it's sustainable. But watching these people, literally, I've seen workers in tears after they get off the job. Like, are you on the front lines? I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like they're on the front lines because the other side issue of this, and this is CVS and Walgreens specifically, is they get a kickback from the amount of vaccines they're doing.
Oh yeah. That.
So you've got a professional in techs that are already kind of maxed out, 95% of their capability. And all of a sudden they call you up and they go, all right, you guys did 26 vaccines last week. Let's hit 100 this week. We want 100. Get out there and get 100. We're going to put an online portal to do instant vaccinations, and we're going to make deals where you get $20 store cash. You come and get your vaccine through us. Next thing you know, there's a line of elderly people and kids wanting vaccines. And there's still one pharmacist and two techs working, trying to deal with all the prescriptions coming in. That hasn't changed. And those people coming to get the vaccines go, well, I'm going to get my vaccine there. I'm going to get my prescription transferred there. Now you've increased that too. You want to
Yeah.
talk about burnout. So, and then you got these people in tears, shaking, trying to vaccinate. I don't want that needle coming at me. I don't
Mm-mm.
want you doing it. I believe in your capabilities, but I don't care if you're a professional pitcher, for the Red Sox or something, and I know you can throw the ball and not hit me in the head, but when you've been up for 3 days straight and stressed out, I don't want you throwing the ball anywhere near me.
No.
That's the issue. So I think, that's more or less my view on that. I think unless the industry, I still think pharmacies are a very overlooked part of the medical industry. It's kind of a side piece of it. I think until the point where like more and more walkouts would happen, what we need to really do though is get back to community pharmacies, or there are companies there, Costco, people like that. Those pharmacies are great. They take care, because those companies take care of their employees,
Right.
and they're not going to let them get burnt out because it looks bad for them. They are too big to fail. They really are, but they don't act that way. And I think those companies are the ones that are going to be okay. And oddly enough, Walmart, from what I've heard in the industry, it's not the best place to work at in the pharmacy. But in general, a lot of people, I've noticed this in my local Walmart, the people that work in those pharmacies stay there. They don't go
Yeah.
anywhere else. So I think they take care of their pharmacists and their techs pretty good. And they can keep them staffed because they're a big enough company to keep them staffed. Whereas Walgreens and CVS's are small, all over the place, like Dollar Generals. You only get two or three people. Somebody calls out sick or somebody leaves, you're screwed. You don't have 28 other workers on the roster going, hey, you know what, can you come in? So, what are
Yeah.
your
Well,
thoughts?
see, and obviously, I wanted to touch on that. That's the biggest reason why they had the walkout was because it unsafe work conditions. They were understaffed, and since COVID, apparently they've been, like you said, a lot of the business side of it has been pushing for their pharmacists and their techs to work more and do more than what they can possibly do. Um, and apparently, this isn't the first time they've walked out. This is apparently like the fourth walkout that they've done.
Right.
Um, and and I can understand, understaffed. Not a whole lot of people want to work in that industry because they can't deal with the stress of it. Um, but when it comes to like money, from what I've looked at, like a CVS pharmacist gets paid about 61.44 an hour.
Right. Which is, I mean, somebody
But
said to you, and that's kind of a side point I think the average American doesn't realize because they haven't worked that job. So if somebody walked up to you, Jay, and they said, hey, dude, I got a job for you. It's 65 bucks an hour. 65 bucks an hour. You never work a Sunday. You don't work late nights. You don't come in early. You stay in an office setting, and people respect you. And do you want that? Do you want 65 bucks an hour? And in the any reasonable middle class down person would go, wow, that sounds great.
That
But
sounds great.
they haven't worked it. They haven't realized what it is.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, $65 an hour. I mean, that sounds great, especially for someone who's been working most minimum wage jobs most of his life. Doesn't really get max. I think I got like $17 an hour at a job, but that's that's a lot to somebody like me. But when you've got your cashiers that are kind of doing almost the same thing, they're only getting paid $16 an hour.
Which, depending on your region, I mean, if you're in Kansas or something where the cost of living is a little cheaper, or Louisiana, okay. But some of these areas, New York, I mean, Maine, I mean, California, Florida,
Well, yeah,
16.
but in
Great. Yeah, I can go buy McDonald's for lunch now.
well, here in Maine, a pharmacy tech at CVS only makes $19 an hour.
Which is actually better than the industry average in Maine, because
True.
Walgreens starts at about 17.50 to 18. So,
Yeah.
and you're looking at yearly 2 to 3% raises. That's it. And running your math on that, that's crap at that level. If it was a dollar raise, it wouldn't matter. Or if you're making 60 an hour and you get the 2% executive raises, 2% is great at 60. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Or even 20. 2% at 20 isn't horrible. But at 16, or I should say 3% at 20, you know.
Or if you're making the minimum wages, it's like what, $13 an hour now, at least here.
Um, yeah, it's something like that. I mean, depending. If you're in Portland, it's 15, I believe, right now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard thing too, and people. I mean, that's a topic for another show.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll
Coming
talk
up with the
about that later.
minimum wages and and economy and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't see it, and but it all boils down to, if Walgreens had a clean, well stocked pharmacy that had multiple pharmacists, a pharmacy manager, and techs and backup techs, like per diems. A lot of places will have a per diem pharmacist and
Yeah.
tech. So that way they can be like, hey, so and so called out and need you. And and you do that and you pay them just a little bit more. And you make sure they get their bonuses, you get their little extras in there, and say, hey, you know what, Thanksgiving, here's a turkey voucher. Hey, it's Christmas. You don't have to work, but you also get paid for it. These little things Walgreens doesn't do.
No.
CVS doesn't do. They don't do these things. I mean, I think after a certain amount of time, you might get your holiday pay, or you get your time and a half you work the holiday. Now, pharmacists don't tend to work holidays. That's a nice perk. Pharmacies don't, unless the 24-hour ones. And but that's that was an interesting sound. I don't know if
Oh,
you
yeah,
heard
that
that.
came from my phone. It's a the Walmart letting me know stuff.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, did somebody chime in here on our topic discussion?
Well,
I've seen it.
well, someone named Super Top said hi, but I think we missed them. We got like one person watching, which thank you for watching.
Yep. Hey, you know what? I mean, I've been watching the people cycle through, and that's going to give us more airtime. It's going to give us more traction. I'm watching our goal numbers, daily rankings go up, and for a first show, I mean, this is really just a prototype for you and me. So
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm cool with that. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. This is great.
And this is so much better for me than just trying to videotape myself and talking.
Well, this is what I usually do when I'm like on YouTube or on TikTok. I just record myself talking about whatever topic happens to be, pissing me off at the time.
Right. Right. Uh, well, I was gonna say yeah, that's all I got on the pharmacy thing. I mean, it's
Yeah,
starting to become old news a little bit, but I mean, I want to keep it current because being in the
well, yeah,
industry, I want people to be aware.
it is. It is becoming. It's becoming less like nobody really cares And the thing is, though, is they should care because if pharmacists decide to do a mass walkout, a lot of people are going to be left out without being able to get their medications.
I'll tell you, just to add to this, it got at points in Walgreens, it got so bad they were behind 200, 300 scripts a day when they were doing about 1,200 a week. So it's basically saying none. What would
Yeah.
happen is a line would form. Everybody would have their prescriptions already sitting there waiting for days, but not filled yet because this verification, this run through for people that don't work at pharmacy. A script comes in, it has to be entered and data entered. Then the pharmacist has to look at it and say, yeah, it was entered correctly. Go ahead back and now you can fill it. If it wasn't entered, it has to go back to verification or back to entry to have the insurance and all the stuff put in. This process sometimes on complicated medications goes back and forth a few times, interactions, things like that, or insurance. Then it goes to Phil. Phil then takes it, fills it, if we have it. If you don't, you got to order it. And then it has to go off to fill verification. So then it goes back to the pharmacist again to recount what you counted because they're the pharmacist. And obviously, we don't want to be giving Susie 78 Oxycontins when she wanted, you know, 2 blood pressure meds. You got to walk,
Right.
you got to check this stuff. The pharmacist is on the line for that. That's their job. Then they verify it. Then it goes over to get put in storage if the person is sitting there waiting. So everybody gets a little bin with their number or whatever. So that way we don't mix up pills. Walmart does bags. Everybody does it different. But that way you have a code number when you go to cash out. Then when they come up, a cashier has to go take it, verify it, and some medications do the license and all that to get it out. So just getting your pills out of the bottle to you is a 5 to 6 step process with 2 to 3 people.
Right.
And a lot of people, I think, well, the pharmacist, counts them, puts them in. There you go. It's ready to go. It's like, no, it doesn't. They would never do that because one messed up person, one crooked person, or one person just not paying attention that time is going to, end up screwing it up. So, and the average person, unless you're on a medication, when you get a new medication, you don't know what it looks like. You open that bottle, you read the side of it, okay, that's what I'm taking. You're not going to know looking at it going, well, wait, 46L is not my blood pressure pill. What is this? They're not going to think of that, or my heart pill, or whatever it may
No.
be. Somebody who's got ADHD starts taking, something to tranquilize them. No, 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 no. You don't know. And, or somebody with a heart condition taking a stimulant. You've got to watch this stuff, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you get behind that much, you get to the point where everybody waiting in line is telling you what their prescription is, and you're looking at them going, yep, we have it right here. Give us 20 minutes so we can fill it. It's fill to order at this point.
Hmm.
That is too taxing. That is basically the McDonald's drive-through scenario in a professional medical setting. It does
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
work.
No, it didn't. It didn't work. Do you remember the pharmacy Eckerd's?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Okay.
I've heard that
When,
name, yeah.
well, yeah. When I lived in Pennsylvania, my ex-wife used to work at Eckerd's, and their pharmacy was horrible. You go in, you drop off a script, and they'd be like, "Okay, we'll be done in 20 minutes." You come back in 20 minutes. Oh, give us 5 more minutes. You come back in that 5 more minutes. By the time it's said and done, you've sat an hour waiting for your script.
Right. And sometimes you're sick. You
Hmm.
need it. It's an antibiotic. You need it. You have a kid that's in pain or
Yeah.
sick. You're watching
You
your
need
kid with
it.
pharmacia. You're like, my 2-year-old has pneumonia. Give me my friggin' medication. And the customers get, angry at this point, even though it may not be the pharmacy's fault, but it's hard because you see both sides. And I think that's the other side of it because society, when they see these walkers, they're like, I had to wait at Walmart for an hour and 20 minutes for a amoxicillin the other day. These privileged jerks, want to walk out for
Yeah.
more money,
Well,
and but they don't see that's a symptom of the cause.
right. But what I like is what doctors are doing now, where they call it in or they send it in, and then the pharmacy calls you and says, "Okay, your script's done."
Right, right.
I like that idea a lot better than the way it was, simply because you run it. You run into the entitled person who wants right now, and then you've got the sick people in there that are waiting for the script. You've got overworked and tired employees who don't want to see you there. It's nuts, and I do like what they're doing now, but at the same time, I don't agree with the fact that a lot of these big companies like CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, they put too much on their employees when they're understaffed.
Yeah, and because it's squeezing the profits, and this again another day for another show. But I mean the squeeze of capitalism.
Yep,
You
yep. The
know,
squeeze
you
capital.
you've got the end of the toothpaste roll, and they're trying to invert the cap to try to get the little bit out of it. You know what? You gotten everything you can out of it. Just deal. You got to change. You got to get a new tube, or you got to do something different. With
Something different.
with that being said, let me take a little. Let me switch off here to me here, and I'm gonna do a little thing from our sponsor here. We got Flipping Good hot sauce, flagship sauce here, Fire 47.
Nice.
13-year anniversary coming up. So far, and of course, one of you guys out there will do it just to prove me wrong. But so far, no negative reviews. We have had nothing but positive reviews for 13 years on this product. It has been store shelved for 2.5 years at this point, and it's just starting to get some traction. Of course, with the shortages on various hot sauces for a little while, we had a little hard chip making it for a couple of years. But it is just fantastic. Chef renown. I mean, I seriously, I'm got orders coming in for Christmas. People saying they've run out already. I eat a lot of hot sauce. I may kill a bottle here and
Yeah.
there. I got people killing a bottle every month or two. They are eating it like, as much as people eat honey mustard or something. It's crazy. I'm like, it's got ghost pepper. It's
Nice.
spicy. I love it. I don't eat that much of it, and I make it. And it's just, it's amazing to me to see how much people actually do, enjoy it. We're working on 4 other sauces that'll be on the market hopefully within the next year. 5 seasonings for burgers and of different types of meat and seafood and whatnot.
Ooh.
So those are our first steps getting the market where all those are pretty much ready, tested, nutritional, ready to go. Just basically getting labels printed, getting it out shelves. We're going to start hitting more local stores hopefully in the next year. That's our game plan. But again, thank you, Flipping Good Sauces. You are the sponsor
All right.
of our show here and covering all of our costs, which is great. So thank you
Great.
for that. Allows us to have a little fun and do what we're doing. So,
Helps to pay
uh,
the bills.
all right, let me swap back over to you here so we can get you to moving on to our next topic.
All right. Well, let's see. The next topic we're going to talk about is something that was brought to my attention: the raise the age bill. This is interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this started off. Now, you brought it to my attention. It happening in Boston. Now, they want to raise the age of juvenile offenders. Okay, they want to raise it to 21,
Hmm.
and this is the reason why. The adult brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, in particular, is not fully developed until you're 25 years old. And this is why it is so important because it has implications for a young person's impulse control and self regulation. So, all that stuff that you did as a kid, it wasn't your fault. It's because your brain just hasn't matured.
I think partially. It's not black and white. It is not black and white. I get that though. I get that anecdote there, and I agree. I, this is kind of like the shoplifter thing in San Francisco. You can you can sit there and come back and say you can sit there and come back and say, you know, well, it's a non-violent crime, so just let them do it. Don't worry about it. But that is not always the case. So I think what it is with this is how do I explain where my thoughts are on this? So okay, let's look at the evolutionary track of humans. Okay, 100,
Yeah, but
150 years ago. Okay, you're 14 years old. You're working in a factory. You have your own place. You're possibly married and about ready to have a kid. Okay,
okay.
now you're 14 years old. You're barely able to tie your shoes, and you're getting taught how to read and whatnot, and actually better education than that many years ago. But you're also possibly having problems, being in public spaces or eating a certain texture of food and whatnot and stuff like that. And I'm no way making fun of people with neurodivergence. I am neurodivergent. My family, I have no problem with any of that. I'm just saying that this is part of base possibly evolution. It's the way society has made everybody conform to it. We have aged as a society in the sense that we now live longer. We now can be kids longer. We now can be active longer. I swear, 40-year-olds, when you look in the 1700s, 40-year-olds were elderly and ready to die.
Hmm.
Now,
Yep.
40-year-olds are going to college and going out and having fun and aren't ready to settle down yet. So I mean, as we stretch this, what's happening is I think you're going to start having an evolutionary trait where kids are going to stay kids longer. You're going to have longer periods of time where you're learning. You don't get all your basic skill learning out of the age of 6 or 7. You're going to
No.
18 to learn those things. So, and possibly even longer. So, I mean, we've raised the smoking age to 21. Drinking age is already 21. Car rentals 23. Because they don't trust you. These companies have, they have analytics. They have the ability to look at humans and how they act. Insurance companies are fantastic at predicting what you're going to do and the odds of you doing it. That's what they do. So when they look at that and they go, I'm not renting a car to that 22-year-old, screw that.
Right.
He's going to
Right.
wreck it. More than likely, he's going to crash it. He's going to drink and crash it. I don't want to deal with that. And he's got no money, no credit. I don't want any part of that. This person's 26. They can probably handle themselves. And it's true because prefrontal cortex, they are mature. They are
Right.
less likely to do something dumb like that, unless they're going to be like that for their whole life. So I think this is actually, I get where they're saying with it. Because what happens is you have this kid who's 3 days past 18. He stayed back a year. He's a junior in high school. Okay. 3 days past 18, junior in high school, got a bum deal growing up, didn't have a lot of education, kind of had to take care of himself for the most part, doesn't have a lot of street smarts, doesn't have a lot of common sense. And you got a lot of friends that are coming up and they're like, hey, dude, yeah, go bust that window. Go bust that window. Oh, okay. You're going to think I'm cool? Doesn't. He's now tried as a criminal. He goes 3 years. He's ruined the rest of his life. Some places, possibly not voting or whatever. I mean, never able to get a job in multiple companies. 60 years old, can't get in certain colleges. Cannot get grants to go to college at 60 years old because he broke a window when he was 18, a junior in high school. That's where that's what sucks. And that's the justice system. That's its own problem.
Oh
But
yeah.
what I think is Massachusetts, oddly enough, being more progressive than, I mean, having one of the first health cares, I mean, state run health cares. I mean, Massachusetts does a lot of stuff ahead of other places. It's really interesting. But
Yeah, they
it's
do.
something you'd expect Vermont or, Rhode Island or something, or California.
Well, that's funny because actually Vermont was the first ones to try this.
Oh, really? Okay. I
Yeah,
wasn't aware.
Vermont was the first one to try this. The last thing I looked up, they're still trying to push it, but their issue is they have no place to house these newly offended juveniles because they just destroyed their juvenile detention center for something else. So now they have to rebuild another one. So the mayor's trying to get them to push off on it, but it's coming. New York and Michigan are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a natural progression. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the military because we have the biggest military in the history of the world, and a good chunk of them basically aren't not being used. I mean,
Well,
that's another discussion as well. But
yeah, that is another discussion because kids today, and I'm talking like 25 to 18, kids today, they don't want to go into the military,
no,
and they've been pushing. They're going to do certain things if the draft is enacted, and it just makes me laugh. It
yeah,
does.
yeah. Good luck. I want you know what? Yeah, you see the resistance of some of these people. I try to get my kid to eat something for dinner half the time, and they're almost 10 years old. Yeah, good luck. I want to see when he's 18. You telling him he's going over to Iraq or something or
I
wherever.
said,
Yeah, yeah. You know what's going to happen? A screaming fit on the floor because it's not going to happen. You're going to have to drag him there and just toss him at the front line. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And
no, it's
the mil-
not.
and the benefits aren't there like they used to be. I mean, they used to be a good gig to get into the military,
Oh yeah.
provided it wasn't Vietnam or something. For them in the late '80s, you go into the
Well,
military and you get out and you're set, and your odds of having after effects are
even
pretty low.
even our age, when I was coming out of high school, I mean, military was a good idea. I
Right.
just wouldn't take it.
A lot of friends went.
Oh yeah, yeah. It
And
was a good idea, and then
things
stuff in
changed.
Afghanistan happened, and we just won't go into that.
Right. And you really got to look at. I mean, and a lot of those friends. I have a lot of friends that are veterans that have a disability. I mean,
Hmm.
some only in the army for like 2 years, never really saw active service outside of the base, and they have disabilities now, and they're legit because of what is pushed these people. Because it's like the corporate thing we were talking about, the Walgreens and all that. They just keep squeezing a little more and a little more out of it. They want better results, but you're not. It's not. I don't know. It's not working the way it should be. But I think that this is part of the problem. Is that should be 21 minimal, as well.
Yeah,
Raise
you
that.
shouldn't be in the military unless you're 21 years old.
No, and that solves the drinking problem when you're in the military, because almost every veteran I've ever met that went in at 18 was an alcoholic. It just
Yeah.
is it's part of the job for a lot of them. And because how else do you deal with it? And they get addicted to various other things. I mean, at that point, and I mean, they destroy their livers with the ibuprofen. I mean, the 800s. I mean, I don't know how many ex-Marines I've talked to. Like, yeah, you're going out for your field service for the day, and you're popping three 800s, three 800 ibuprofens, and you're gonna have your stomach's gonna hurt, but you're not gonna feel your pain in your legs, and it's like, what are we
The,
doing?
yeah, exactly.
And I mean, we don't have Agent Orange we're dealing with, but what's the next thing? I mean, it's always something. And yeah, it's just crazy. And again, not to diminish the military or any of your service, any of this for any of you people, but just saying. I mean, there's a lot to talk about there. But I think the 21 thing has its merit. I mean, there's got to be, especially non-violent crime.
Oh
That
yeah, nonviolent crime.
I mean, I understand them treating them as juveniles. You're still in high school. Why are you going to prison for a non-violent crime? And I mean, even robbery, non-armed robbery, or
Not
I
armed
guess I
robbery.
guess at
No.
that point it's theft or shoplifting or
Yeah.
whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. But
Theft.
now, provided it's rape, it's attempted murder, okay. Now I think you have given up your. Yeah, I mean, there's always individual cases. There's 12-year-olds that are murdered. I get this is a gray area, but you there is always got to be some kind of absolute for absolute crimes. But you
Hmm.
can't. But the quote I've heard many times, and you probably have heard, is you cannot absolute laws cannot be just, because you can't have justice. Justice is gray. Justice is variation. I mean, it's case by case. And that's why we have a massive justice system with lawyers and juries and judges and people that sit back and go, you know what? You did break the law, but you had a good reason this time. And I understand
Yeah.
you're still in trouble, but we're not going to give you the same extent of that guy who did it on purpose for no
Right.
reason.
Right.
you know and I think that's where it comes into it. And I think some of this stuff is gets blown out when it's in the media, obviously, because they take the headline going, oh, they're going to make everybody 21 and under nonviolent juvenile offenders, no matter what they do. So watch out for your daughters, because that 20-year-old on college campus is going to rape your daughter, and he's going to be tried as a juvenile, and he's going to do 3 months in juvenile and get back out. That's not what's going to happen.
No,
Could
no,
it
that's
could it could it
yeah.
happen somewhere to somebody? Yeah, justice system screws up
Yeah.
all the time. But that's not the intent of the bill. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to end up happening is you're going to have a lot of these kids that get caught with, they're going to caught with a baggie, depending on,
Right.
I mean, mass, it's different, obviously, but, caught with something illegal, caught with a bottle, caught with a couple 40s in their backpack at 19, going down to the park to play ball with their friends.
Right.
And they're not going to go to jail for 3 months over it. They're going to get more of the slap on the wrist and possibly counseling, the way it should be. The social work part of it, and I mean, we got to definitely work on that too. That's a whole another story there. But yeah, I think there's a lot more to it than we can see.
Oh yeah. No, there is. Well, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to lower repeat offenders.
Right.
Kids who are like 17, 18 years old who they get a slap on the wrist and they continue to do it. Um, and
Right.
that's what their biggest issue is repeat offenders. My thoughts on it though is, are they doing it because of that, or is it another excuse as to the reason why they don't want to look at the fact that their rehabilitation system sucks? They're not rehabilitating these kids well enough in juvie. They're just holding them there. Oh, you're
Yeah.
here for 3 months. You sit here for 3 months. You're out. Like
Mhm.
if the rehabilitation was a little bit more set on, if you don't follow through with your rehabilitation, you go to jail or you're stuck here longer. It's
More counseling, more educated counselors that don't have a fly by night, at home degree and being a
right.
social worker, or somebody that, you probably in your life, I have met some of these social workers. They're not people I would ever even want to have a conversation with on a bus. I mean, they are rough people to deal with, and some are great, but there's
Yeah,
some that should not be doing this job, and then they're talking to these people and there's no empathy. You're like, wow, you don't care about me and you're trying to tell me not to do something. I'm going to be defiant and do the opposite.
yeah, yeah. No, no. I've personally, I dealt with case managers and social workers growing up as a kid, and yet some of them great people, wonderful
Yeah.
people. Others, I wouldn't give them the time of day. They told me to do something, I'd look at them and be like, "Hey, no, just no," because you just give off that no vibes, you know.
Right, and you
But
don't get the choice. It's not like when you get a doctor you don't like, you go find another doctor, or a lawyer, or even a bank that you don't like dealing with, or a salesman at a car dealership. I've done that. You walk in, you get the wrong one. You don't want to buy that car. You may want that car. You don't want to buy it from them. Then you go to the next dealership. That person becomes your best friend, not trying to screw you over. And you know what? You're like, might even buy the car you didn't even want because they helped you. And I
yeah,
think that's the same thing. You don't get that choice with social workers. They're
no, you
given
don't.
to you. They're like, this is this crap person. Good luck. And you're like, I'm in a hard part in my life right now. I need somebody to help me as much as therapy. You go to the wrong therapist, you find a new therapy or a therapist, psychologist, same, whatever.
Right,
You're getting help. You find a new one if you don't, you click. A lot of these have free sessions to start because they want to see if you got the good personality. Not everybody clicks. You don't get that with the social workers, and that's hard.
no, you don't. Because and the thing is though is when it comes to social workers, there are so many people in the system that need help, and there are so very few educated social workers, and they just the same thing we were talking about with Walgreens and CVS. They just get loaded with all this work, and it becomes more of a chore and just trying to get through the paperwork than trying to deal with the individual themselves.
Right. I mean, that transfers even to the police. That's why they
Right.
can't handle domestic dispute, or they're handling domestic dispute stuff when they shouldn't be. That's not their job. And they
Well,
have to do the social worker part. The ones who are not trained with the social worker side of it. Either
right.
train them, send one along, or not have them do that.
Well,
And
and in some cases, in some places, cops won't even touch a domestic dispute.
no,
They won't even show up.
no, because they're not trained in it. If somebody told you, Jay, they're like, hey, this couple's fighting to the point thhere they're going to get violent. You want to go over there and help them out?
Yeah,
You're not
no,
you're not you're not trained in that. I mean,
not at all.
no. What do it, that's part of the problem, or especially, you're a railroad worker and they're basically asking you to go do that. You're like, um, why are you asking me to do that? That's not my job. And police have now taken on this role. So, but yeah, I think that's the part. And I get social work can be taxing. I mean, I would not want to do it. I had an opportunity to get into that, and I was like, it's not my personality, and that's why I don't want to do it. It's not my personality. I would not it would not benefit me. It would not benefit them. Nobody would get a positive out of that for me doing that job. That's not my role in this world.
And that's the other thing is a lot of these social workers, they do it because it's an easy degree. Boom, 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 done. And they think
There's
they're
some
going to
places
be
you can just sign up,
yeah.
literally. You just go get the job, and they're like, "Here's a 6 week training. You're now, whatever."
Oh, that they were doing that. Speaking of that, and touching back on the whole pharmacy thing, uh, Walgreens was offering classes to be a phlebotomist.
Right.
It's
I
like 3 weeks. It was a 3 week course at Walgreens, and you'd be able to pull blood. No, thank you. No, thank
Okay,
you.
okay. So get this. So I looked into it at one point when I was looking for a job years ago, but it was Nordics Labs or somebody, one of the or whoever it was doing it, and it was a 6 week, 40 hour a week course with a test at the end, and they would place you in a job in their own company because you'd basically be like an intern working with somebody else in the company that was helping train you to begin with to do the blood draws. I get that. That is direct. That makes sense
Yeah,
because that's all the job this section of the company did. That's all they did. They went around and if it even Red Cross, they went around and did uh, the blood draw, or the blood draws. That's what they did. So if they're training you for what is that, 200 and let's see, 240 hours of training,
right.
and then doing kind of like you had to work for them for 6 months afterwards. So basically, they would be hands on with you for 6 months. Then you could go on your own. You now have almost 8 months worth of training to stick a needle
That's
something.
not bad.
No, that makes sense. That's reasonable. And
Yeah.
they're one of the highest rated because of that. And the pay went up as you went beyond. And I'm like, that would make sense. But again, you also day two, I had a friend that started in the class. You're poking each other. Your classmates poking you, and you're poking them to test on, or day three or whatever it was. No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I've bad enough. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to poke you. You ain't poking me. I'll poke myself. I'm like, I would rather do that because I just, yeah,
Done.
yeah, really. Like, I'm like, you know what? Let me give you a paper cut right here, or let me grab a razor and cut myself, and you can suck from that because I'm not letting shaky Susie over here, who's 47 and recovering and and jittered and with the needle coming at me. I'm good. I can't do that. No,
No,
and
no.
that's the same thing with giving the vaccines. I mean, for the training with that, like some of the stories I've heard is basically like, all right, all the file draws and all that. And like, yeah, great, great, great. Yeah, you're a tech, so you just paid your $40. You typed up the document online, which took you 2 minutes. It got approved the day later. Here's your license. Let me show you how to stick this needle in this old person's arm.
J- no.
Oh, you're okay. You put it in here, squeeze the muscle, put in, squeeze, release, put on the pad, put on the band-aid. They're done. Uh, this this ain't wartime. I don't need field training. I mean, I no, I'm not doing it. I just that's
That's
scary.
what that's like, though. Yeah.
I honestly, I mean, this goes both ways. There's different views on this. I was vaccinated all through growing up and stuff. I have all my vaccines. I went to college. I already had my vaccines. My pediatrician's office had gone out of business, retired or whatever. So there's no records of it. So the only thing I went and got tetanus because it was required, and then I claimed religious exemption on the rest because I was like, I already knew I had my vaccines. I knew I was safe. I had taken them. I didn't have the record, and I wasn't gonna go get freaking bunch of vaccines again. I'm good.
Right,
So
right.
like whatever. I tend to have a reaction to them. If I get the flu shot, I get sick. Which
Mhm.
you'll have some doctors come back saying, "Oh, that doesn't happen." I have had
Oh,
multiple pharmacists tell me, "Oh, it totally happens." I'm the one giving the shot. I get it myself as a pharmacist. A lot of those pharmacists give themselves their own vaccines, so they can do that. Some of them don't like doing it. Some do because you can't squeeze the muscle at the same time, so it hurts worse. So they don't like doing it. But in COVID times, a lot of them had to because it was short staff. They were the only one authorized. They had to give themselves their own COVID vaccines. But I had the first two COVID vaccines. And I tell you, the first one, the two part of the Moderna, the first one
yeah.
was fine. It was fine. And I was like, whatever. And at the time, I was running a restaurant. I'm like, we got to get it done because there was question if it was going to be a mandate to have it done to have food establishments with
Right,
workers, So I was like, I'll do it. And then I went back to the second one. A couple months later, I've had health problems galore, weird health problems, dismissed doctor, test, nothing coming back. You're nuts. It's anxiety. It's whatever. Like, you know how you feel. You're like, this isn't right. Now there's medical. documentation coming out of Europe of people with very similar things to me that are reactions to some of the early vaccines. All the
Right.
medical reasoning behind it, and apparently it's temporary for a couple years, temporary, but people are supposed to grow out of these. So I'm really hoping, because I'm going on 3 years now of these issues, and supposedly the cutoff's about 5 to 7 years, they're guessing, and you won't. At that point, the enzymes in your liver, whatever it is, it reacts to go away, which is why you have
Yeah.
to get these boosters. And at this point, I've actually had COVID as well. It sucked. I got through it. Until I get some kind of lung issue, I'm not getting any more. I'm good. I'm
No.
not testing that. I don't get flu shots. I've caught the flu a few times. I get sick for a few days. I have a good immune system. I don't need to worry about it. I'm not immune compromised. I'm not elderly. I'm not a kid. I understand those people that do that. I don't need to. I'm not going to. I'm not anti-vaccine. You do what you want.
Right.
I don't want to be sick for no reason.
Right. No, I'm the same way. As for me, like I don't do vaccines anymore. I got a flu vaccine in 2002. I was sick as a dog for a week. I
Yeah,
got a flu vaccine in 2003, sick as a dog for a week. In 2004, I told them they could shove their flu vaccine. I wasn't going to do it again. And with the COVID vaccine, I had a lot of nurses tell me about that vaccine when it first came out, my mom included. No, no, I didn't get it. I've had COVID twice, and I didn't get it. My son hasn't gotten it because he hasn't gotten sick. So it's I mean, if you need it, you need it. But I don't. I don't trust vaccines.
right. And it's sad because I feel like, when polio vaccine came out and shingles, back in the days, yeah, those are safe. They have side effects. They can have side effects. Not everybody's
Yeah,
great, but those were necessary. And those are where the designs of vaccines work, taking the base root, creating the dead virus to create an immune response, nothing else. Call it good. It worked. It was tested and it worked.
right.
This was an emergency response to something new, something we had never really pulled off. And then all of a sudden it all pops up, three, four, five companies popping up within 18 months, was it, or 16 months, whatever it was, which means it
Yeah,
was in development from day one or
it didn't take
within the
long.
first week. Let's take all the conspiracy theories off the table. Let's just say true. Let's call mainstream media fact. Okay, let's just say that. About a month in,
So,
about a month in, they start working on
mhm.
vaccine. I get you have these MIT people, you have these crazy good people that know how to create this stuff, and they're in the lab and they're working with AI simulation and mathematicians and creating all this stuff with every top doctor and virologist or whatever pathologist in the world. And I could see if one company said, we have something, we're going to start trying it. It looks promising. But then all of a sudden, I have another one pop up, another one pop up, and then this one gets pulled off the market because it's creating blood clots, and this one gets pulled off the market because it's not as effective, and then this one comes up with a new booster that's different, and then this one starts. Now, the newest thing coming to the market, the dual COVID flu vaccine, both in one. Now you can get both. You can get both at the same time. You can show up over at Walgreens and say, "I want both." They go, boom, boom, back to back. You want to feel that sickness? So
Yeah.
go do that. We actually have had customers come up and get 4 vaccines. It's not recommended. It's against some store policies. We had a customer get a COVID, an RSV, a flu, and they end up getting their shingles at the same time. I never react to vaccines. I'm fine. They take off. They're in the store 3 days later. They're fine. I want your immune system. I mean, that is
Right.
not. Why are you even getting the shots? You're.
Just to
I'm.
be
I,
safe.
Yeah, I think at this point, lady, I think you're probably immune to AIDS. I mean, I don't even know because I mean, if you're popping that much into you, I mean, and somebody on 4 or 5 prescriptions at the same time, I mean, your body don't react. You're pickled. I mean, you're
Yeah.
Keith
Yeah.
Richards. Yeah, that's another one. I think Keith Richards would be
Ah,
fine.
Keith Richards.
I think he could pretty much just drink a bowl of COVID, and I think he'd be fine. I mean, I don't even.
Keith, we no. What we need to do is we need to take Keith Richards' blood and we need to bottle.
Make a vaccine out of him.
Exactly. Exactly. Make a
So
vaccine out of him. any new strand or virus comes out, get your Keith Richards shot.
Either that or, I'm sorry, but Cher or Dolly Parton, take their DNA. I will take it. Give me a blood transfusion from them because when I'm 80, I want to look like that. I don't
Right.
care how, and you can say what you want with plastic surgery stuff. A lot of that is not plastic surgery. That is
No,
good
no, no,
health.
no, no.
That
A lot
that
of
is
that though,
money.
that money.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
but it's money for the fact that Cher is pretty much like vegan or whatever, vegetarian or Mediterranean vegetarian or something. No dairy,
yeah.
no preservatives, no nothing. Dolly Parton's pretty much the same. They do Pilates. They have nutritionists. They have doctors that constantly go, oh well, this comes off. Let me adjust you. They live stress free lives because they
No,
got the
yeah.
money.
They don't have
They're
to think about anything. They
they're
don't have to think about
no.
anything.
Madonna too. I mean, she got sick, but I mean, and she overdoes it. I feel like, and I feel bad for her if she feels like she needs to be in that place. But you know, you look at these people, or who was the other one I just saw the other day? Oh, 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 oh God, I can't think of his name now. He's in the Gene Hackman. He's like 93. They just had a picture of him coming out of a gas station in his jeans and his like hoodie or whatever. He went in, grabbed his coffee. He's coming on out, walking out, hopping into his car to drive off. 93. Dude looks like he's maybe 70. And I'm like,
Well,
wow.
but did you
Clint
see?
Eastwood.
Did you? Speaking of the people in their 90s, did you see Jimmy Carter? He
I
looks like
know.
he looks like he's about to go.
I know, but that's a president too. You want to talk between him and Russell, presidents age fast. And I know Jimmy Carter had a short, you know,
Mhm.
but still, you watch anybody, you watch Obama get in there, you watch any of them, they age fast. Bush, they
Oh
go
yeah.
10 years a year because the stress. And I don't care what president you are. I'm not going to bring up recent past. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that situation. That's something different. But in general, I mean, when you get in and do that job, Nixon, any of them right up, Kennedy, it is, 23 hours a day of work. They're getting phone calls at 4 in the morning. They're getting woken up constantly. They are constantly on edge. It's like you gone and been in the hospital with somebody having a kid those 2 or 3 days. It's
Hmm.
that all year for
All the
four
time.
years. It's
Yep.
nonstop. And I mean, that killed me for a couple of days. Both the second time was better. The first time, I mean, sleeping in the chair and every 20 minutes, wait, no, well, this person, it messes with you. And yeah, it ages you. And look, people jokingly, oh, I wish I was president. No, you don't. You don't want
No.
that job. That's a select few. I don't care if they're selected or not. You don't want that job unless you've been in politics your whole life, you have the right personality for it, and you have a good support system. And even then, you're committing. There's a reason they run them for 8 years. I don't think. I don't think Obama. I think Obama or somebody younger like that could have come back and done a third term and physically handled it. I don't think Bush Senior could have handled it another term.
No.
Reagan would have dropped dead probably.
Oh,
You know,
Reagan would have got shot.
he was running out at the end. I mean, he was having troubles because he couldn't remember who it was. Biden. I mean, we're wondering if we can squeeze 4 more years out of him. I'm questioning if they're squeezing
Uh,
another year. And
you should,
you can have your views on Biden all you want, but it's hard because there's differences. Everybody is different. I,
he was.
I'm I will come out politically. I was a Bernie supporter. I love Bernie Sanders because he's honest on his own right compared to a politician. That's the way I look at him. I don't care if you don't like his views or not. And I've had a conservative come to me saying, you know what? I don't believe in any of his views, but I'd rather he was in there because when he's talking, he's being truthful. I do believe him, and I believe he has everybody's best interest in mind. It doesn't matter if I agree or not. He's an old school politician that he wants to do the job to help people. That's that. And we can argue policy later, but he's a good person. You look at him, he could be 90. He's still going to be running around. He could do that job because that's all he's done his whole life.
Right. Right.
Everybody's different. That's the way I look at it. I think every single person is different, but when you get to that age, I mean, and stresses and then the environment of the world. I mean, look at society. Look at us. We're not even involved in the global politics, and yet it's taking its toll on everybody.
Yeah, it has.
Imagine being the person in charge of it.
Yeah, no, thank you. You can have that job.
For 400,000 a year. You know what? I'll go be a pharmacist for 300.
If the pay's good, maybe.
Here are these movie stars. I got $10 million, but it was 18 months. That was horrible because I had to get up at 4 a.m. and I had to drink these milkshakes. I had makeup and da 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 da. And I get it. I get that can be difficult for a lot of these jobs. Some of the superhero ones, you hear the horror stories and makeups and all this, and the memorizing lines and all that. But yeah, you just got $40 million for your 18 months. You don't have to ever work again if you don't want to.
At least till the next movie, till we need you for the next movie.
Right, exactly. Or to the point you spent it all somehow. It blows
Well,
my
let's
mind.
see, 40 million. I could probably spend that quick.
But you could. But at the same time, right now, if I handed you $40 million, and I'm like, that's the last pennies you ever make. You're not legally allowed to make a penny anywhere. It's just, magic will not let you make another penny for the rest of your life. You got 40 million. You could make it last. You could
Oh no,
survive.
I could.
You could
I
live
could.
nicely. You wouldn't even be like living penny pension. You would live nicely off that. And it's like these sports stars get these contracts for 100 million, and the next 4 years later, oh, they're broke. What, dude? You buying 37 helicopters? What are you buying? What are you?
They got
How do you?
married.
Yeah. Well, that's half. There's half. Get the prenup, but yeah, that's half of it. Okay, so let's take half off. But still, you got a 4-year contract for 100 million a year. You got 200 million, and take the taxes out of it. Take your mansions and all your stuff. Wife took half. You still got 100 million. What are you buying, dude? Michael Jackson spent around the clock. You ever see him shopping?
Yes,
Oh
that's
my God. 40,000, I'll take two.
oh,
20,000,
but
take.
that's
He never
because he
went
was a kid in
broke.
the candy store. He was
But
a
he
kid in
never
the candy store.
but even with that attitude, he never went broke. Yet, and he wasn't even really working near the end. He wasn't. He was getting some royalties. He still had money coming in, but he was still not going broke. And you see these guys with these $100 million contracts go broke in 2 years. Again, what are you buying? And then you see their home, you're like, oh, it must have been that $3 million home. Well, that's 3 million. What
Yep.
did you buy another home and put it inside of it? Did you buy 100 of those? Did you buy a city somewhere? Where?
Well, well then, and you've also got these rappers who go out there and they throw money around like it's nothing,
Right, but
and then want to bitch that they're broke.
I understand a piece of the culture, but this chain is worth $500,000 because it has blue diamonds in it. Oh, I, why? Why? Buy the $100,000 necklace. I'm gonna look at it and still see the blue, see the regular diamonds. I'm not. I'm gonna judge you the same way either way. I don't.
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah,
You know, I'm gonna either judge you off your character, off your music, or something. But I don't. I don't. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get what the point is. I'm. If I was a multimillionaire, yeah, I would probably buy a Bugatti. I'd spend the 1.4 million and buy a Bugatti because I like them. But it's an investment in a car. It's $1 million car, and now I own it, and that's that. I'd also buy a couple $1 million homes.
well, yeah. But then again, you've also got the people that are in the music industry today haven't been where we've been.
No, no, and that's the factor. I think that's where the difference is. You have people like Dolly and Cher and stuff. They grew up poor.
Yep.
They didn't have it, so Willie Nelson, any of them, they have maintained. Warren Buffett. There's a reason he's rich. Yeah, he's intelligent in what he does. He's one of the best, traders, whatever investment people. But he still lives in like I think a $600,000 home and drives like a Toyota or Acura or something. This
Yeah.
guy is one of the wealthiest people to ever live, and he still has Berkshire Hathaway. His stock of his company is worth like $400,000 a share. It's the highest valued stock in history. He's rich beyond, and yet still like will wear like a $2,000 suit. Whereas you got this other guy who comes up off TikTok or something. Sorry, TikTok. And all of a sudden it's worth a couple $1 million because of people sending gifts or whatever. And then he goes out and he has a custom made, $80,000 Armani suit or Gucci suit just to go to one event. And it's like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
It's not a wedding. You're going to some show in Milan for like 20 minutes. I don't know. That stuff drives me nuts. I just, yes, and it's all different. You got Jake Paul, who's made a lot of money now and spends it, but also is apparently well invested enough to not be broke.
True. He is.
That's it. There is strategy there. A lot of people look at him like he's an idiot. He's not an idiot. The Cash Me Outside girl. or whatever. Catch Me. I mean, she's a
Oh, her
multi.
bad
She,
was it
Bad Baby or whatever, or
bad baby? Yeah,
Bad Bunny. That's what I think it
yeah,
was. Yeah, she's a multi-millionaire.
yeah. All because she went on a Dr. Phil show.
Right, and put on this act. And I mean, I mean, I'm probably kind of a little bit like her, but I mean, I get that's probably her personality, but I don't know. I question that because, she's not dumb. Makes that rap video, ends up making like 500,000, 2 million, or whatever it was. Now does an OnlyFans. Talk about running the system. One of the top people in there because everybody from the generation that saw her on TV turns around and goes, "Oh my God, I can go see her OnlyFans.
Right, right.
I
Which
will pay $30, even if it's for the 1 month. I will cancel. I haven't. I don't care about that
I
stuff.
wouldn't. I
No,
wouldn't.
no,
Not
no,
even.
no, no. And I mean, and honestly, I mean, people of our caliber and year know how to go find stuff for free, anyways. But uh,
Exactly.
yeah, but I mean, honestly though, but it happens, and it's like, and talk about running the system. Congratulations, you have hustled, and that's And are you hurting anybody? No, no. Have you set yourself up where if you're good, you're careful with it? Are you gonna, you know, you're gonna be okay for the rest of your life? Yeah, probably. She's gonna retire out at some point and be like, live the best
Oh, yeah,
life she could live.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, good for people can hate on her all you want, but good job. If I could do it, I would. You know, um, no, not that part. I'm saying just like hustle, doing something crazy to
To
hustle.
doing something crazy to become internet famous. Yeah, I've been trying since 2009.
I think there's always a combination of luck. It's finding the niche. I mean, whatever.
Oh yeah,
Um, all right, so let's see. Let's
yeah.
go
We got
into.
completely off topic.
Yeah, I know, but that's the point of our show. For all you may watch
Yeah,
this later, I mean, we're gonna have this on YouTube. We're gonna get this hopefully on Instagram at some point soon. We'll have it on our Facebook page, and eventually, I'm going to be setting up our splash page website that'll have all our links. I might just do a link tree. We'll figure something out. That way, it all connect with a little background
cool.
information connection to our videos. I also was thinking about I want to convert this over. I think once I get the TikTok studio, we can actually record the audio part for a podcast. So I have a podcast account, so we can actually podcast this at the same time for the audio side.
That'd be good. That'd be
So
good.
we'll do cross platform, and there's programs out there that'll actually take this and run all your stuff at the same time. I do it with the sauces where it'll set up all your social media setups off one click. So it'll know to post a video here, put a clip here, do this here, and you do that every week, and you have it scheduled, and you type in some information, load video, and you're done.
Nice.
So I also got and I got Adobe Premiere, so I can take our video clips and add our intro and play with the video as we get down the line. So we'll get there. I mean, everybody who happens to watch this right now or has watched this or go back and watch the live for prior. I mean, this is just this is a prototype. So you're seeing
Yeah,
it being
this is
birthed,
just
and
this is just a pilot.
yeah, basically it's not even a pilot. This is like a test run for a sample audience.
Yeah, this is the pilot for the pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is that? Pilot squared or no?
it's a
Yeah,
promo pilot. That's what it is.
square root of the pilot. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
promo pilot. Yeah,
exactly.
this is
Square
like
root of the pilot.
yeah. This is like the college created promo trailer for a wannabe movie. All
College,
right,
college, college.
I don't know. I don't know. Don't mind me. Musings of two middle-aged men here. I mean, but I mean, and I know we may not be the dead center of society here, but I'm hoping we're relatable enough that people can tune in and listen and go,
At least
no,
somebody.
yeah. It's what we want out there, everybody. We want one person. We want that one follower that's a diehard, and eventually shows up on our doorstep, all dressed in black, saying that they can't live without us. We want that stalker, okay?
That's what we're looking for, right? Okay.
That's
We
our
want
goal.
our fans.
We need two each. Either you gotta have somebody that can go between our two places, or one at each. Okay, you can make the choice. You want to buddy up? Find a buddy who'll sit outside one of our doorsteps in the rain and play ominous music, and that's what we want. All right.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what we want.
all right. I think we have another topic. Final topic.
Yeah. This final topic was supposed to be about catfish, but The what I apparently looked up was not catfish.
No, no. When I was reading your notes setting to me, I was like, okay, I kind
It,
of get where he's going, and I started looking at him like,
it
well,
was something totally different. Okay, so the clip that I saw
okay,
was
go ahead.
this. The clip that I watched. Okay, so there's these two roommates. They're sitting in the living room together with these two other people in on a couch, and they're like, "Is there something that you want to tell your roommate?" The dude walks back into his bedroom, comes back out, and he's holding a my size blow up Barbie doll looking thing.
Okay, so this sounds like Strange Addiction or
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but I
Extreme
mean,
Sex, or yeah.
it he wanted to he what he wanted was he wanted his roommate to leave his house to leave the house when he was having his girlfriend over. I'm just like, what are you talking about?
You know, uh,
And then so many things went through my head. Would you be comfortable taking this thing out on a date? Like, I'm going to go to the movies and I'm going to buy two tickets
I,
for an inanimate object.
and I'd be like, as a ticket person, I'd be like, no, you only need one. Have a great date. I mean,
Okay. Uh,
what? No, this blows my mind. It's like watching Strange Addiction, watching these people that have to like eat couch cushions or whatever, but like, or the people that have to bring around the guy who sleeps has relationships with his cars. Have you seen that guy?
no,
Okay,
no.
yeah, no, he has intimate relationship with vehicles. He has six vehicles now, I think, or five. But there's a car that he literally wanted to marry. He has intimate time with the car. With the car. It's a boy. He considers himself bisexual, and the car is a male. He has also had female cars that he also has intimate relations with. But he tends to sleep with one of them more than the other. And the car got in a wreck, and he literally had a funeral and cried over it. At this point, it's so hard because part of me, there's a little bit of libertarian in me that looks back and says, you do you. If you're not hurting anyone else and you're not, you do you.
Yeah,
I don't care. You don't live in a cabin in the woods and you want to have sex with a pineapple every night or something. I mean, whatever. It's not hurting anybody. But also, there's an extent difference between somebody maybe being attracted to animation or attracted to something that's off it's off the line a little bit, or attracted to 90-year-old women or something, or whatever it may be. That's your personal preference. Again, you're not hurting anybody. Great, go for it, do what you want to do. But at the same time, now you've gotten to a point of the psychological realm. There's something inherently wrong in here for you to have this need when it's actually an addiction. It's not just somebody going, I really love cars and I think that car is sexy in a weird way. That's it. And they're calling it.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
fine. Good for you. No, it's I'm going to be in a relationship with my car. I'm going to have sex with my car. What the tailpipe? I don't know. Whatever he's
yeah.
doing, and for years, and then get more cars and have a polygamist relationship with cars. It's
It,
not kink shaming. It's beyond that.
yeah, it is. It's something definitely wrong, and I can kind of see where this is going, though. Me being single in my 40s, it's very hard to date because
Yeah,
nowadays in the dating world, you have no idea. You
no,
just have
yeah,
no idea what you're getting into when you talk to certain people, or there's the whole you sometimes can't tell if they're a female or not. Um, and then that's true though. That is something that I've run into on dating apps. So there's a lot of this AI companion thing that's going around.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, and for lonely people, I can kind of get it. But when you want to have a full-on marital relationship with your AI companion,
Yeah. Now you're literally standing on the line. You have
yeah,
one foot on the other side, and your other foot still touching the line, and you can simplify. You can kind of look at it, but you're like at the same time. At what point have you become delusional in the sense of reality? Because it's fine to have some kind of like get the loneliness thing out of it or whatever. And I mean, if you were playing a video, if you were playing something on Xbox or on PC or whatever, and you were chatting with somebody for like a month or two, and you look forward to them hopping line every day, and you kind of had that little relationship with them, and you always chatted or whatever, and then you found out it was an AI bot, and you never, it was that good, it was the best AI bot ever. Does it make any difference for how it made you feel? No, that's fine. You want to have that little relationship with that AI bot, great. If it made you feel better, and I get that, but then my thought is in my mind, I'm not stupid. It's fake. It's fake. It's
Right.
always, you're never going to feel that out of it until they create literally a, you know, data from Star Trek level android. I mean, something so realistic that you question, is there sentience? Because, I mean, without the sentient part, what are you doing? And then to go to the cars. I mean, that's, I mean, you were saying it's 40 and dating single. I mean, you've been looking at cars. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Jay? I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm looking at cars a certain way.
or
Yeah, because well,
did you see a really
no.
sexy jet ski the other day that, you're thinking,
Oh no, no, not the jet skis. It was a Ford 4x4.
oh, so you roll that way.
No,
All
no.
right, so
It,
I didn't know you were into the Bears. I didn't.
I mean, I'm a bear myself.
Yeah.
So,
No, no, but that's the whole thing. I get touching on the levels of this. I get the concept of the sex toys. I get the concept of the AI stuff now because that's getting there. I mean, that's getting amazing. I mean, we have holodeck
oh
someday
yeah,
where you go into a virtual reality that is not without the goggles and has force fields that you touch and you can feel warmth. And what's to
yeah,
say a program that you create for yourself doesn't grow and become real? I get maybe something there, but that's out there. That's not there yet. You're delusional if
no,
you're
no. I
believing,
mean,
if you have a favorite ficus tree outside that you're humping and you want to marry it, you're delusional at this point. These people that, yeah, I mean, and it goes and it borders on some of the stuff to do with, bestiality, whatever. I mean, there's these things that are
yeah,
beyond this. They're beyond this line, and there's still a glimmer of hope that you look at and go, and not hope that that would happen, but like looking at the person going, I understand. I get that you are to this point in your life and you're that lonely or you found something in it, but it's not. It's delusional. And it reminds me of when you see in the movies where somebody's having this perfect dream and like somebody breaks, not a dream, but like they're hypnotized or something. They're like, no, it's not real. It's not real. You've got to wake up. You can't, it's not real.
yeah. The
Sci-fi
Inception,
level. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And that's what they're
Inception.
doing themselves. And it's like,
Perfect.
are they? And then you start really pushing the crazy conspiracy thing. Are we in the Matrix and they're seeing something we're not? Did they find a hack? Did they actually, is this car actually talking to them and actually having, and is it the best partner they ever had? I mean, what if we're the
Something
idiot?
too many Pixar movies. Um,
Okay, well, those cars, I mean, I can admit the Porsche, no, but no, but I mean, at that level, I mean, if you start, My Little Pony, I mean, you started having, ponies that were having discussions with you and were sentient and intelligent and living normal lives, I don't think society would have as much problem down the road with people having relationships with them because I go to the alien factor. Aliens show up tomorrow. They all look like cat people, but they're very human, and they start integrating our society. They're their own race. We see it in sci-fi movies and
mhm,
whatnot.
mhm. Yep.
I'd have no problem with somebody dating one of them. Why would you? There's no difference. That is basically at that point, it's almost racism at that point, and because having a problem
Well,
with
yeah.
it.
But then again, at that point, it's the only reason we don't have a problem with it is because it's a humanoid.
Well, okay, but what if you have a sentient non-humanoid? What if you had? Okay, well, but it's a cat person. What if they walk on all four, but otherwise very human?
Oh, well, you've got people who do that today.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So where do you draw the line? Yeah, I don't think you can have a line. I think everybody has to make their own judgment. So then we circle back saying, were we wrong in judging this guy having sex with his car? Is he
No,
hurting? Is he hurting anyone?
I mean maybe the Autobot, but I don't think he's really hurting anybody.
Maybe they are Autobots. Maybe he is Sam. I mean, maybe he's here to
What,
save
the one
save.
female Autobot?
Well, I mean, it could be a guy. I mean, well, I claimed one of them was guy, or multiple of those were guys. But the thing is, like, maybe he's communicating with the Autobots. Maybe he saved our planet. We didn't know. Maybe 2020 didn't happen because this guy was banging his car.
Oh God, no.
Or 2012, 2012. Maybe 2012 didn't happen. Maybe they
2012 didn't, 2012 didn't happen. I wish it didn't happen. Yeah, yeah, we could say that.
no, I mean like the end of the Mayan level of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That whole
You
thing.
know, that's what I'm saying. Like, this guy
Well, I think
banged
the
his.
next one's supposed to happen next year.
No, supposedly now 2029 is when this giant asteroid the size of a superdome is supposed to fly under the satellite orbit, um, get that close to Earth. It's supposed to go into touch our atmosphere and come through. And they, what's his name? Neil, the physicist. I cannot think of his name now. Tyson, Neil Tyson Gruss. He had a seminar talking about it. He said they've actually named it after a Greek goddess of death or something, and they said it's going to be the closest object in our observable history that's come close enough to pass through. And all mathematical predictions are showing that it's not going to hit us, 99.96 or something. And it's big enough that it's not a planet killer. I mean, it's the size of like a stadium. It's not the size of a city. There's a big
Okay.
difference. It could wipe out a small city. I mean, it could do damage. It may trigger like some smoke for a few days or whatever. But there's also, you got to figure, most of the Earth is uninhabited. People can say we're overpopulated. We just overuse resources. I mean, most of the ocean is uninhabited. I mean, the
Yeah.
Arctic, Antarctic, parts of Africa. I mean, there's Australia. I mean, there's areas that just have nothing. So it's not going to be a devastating thing to even hit us. But I mean, unless it literally somehow hit New York City or LA or Paris or something. But that's only in the movies. I mean, you're winning the lottery at that point.
Yeah.
You're actually,
Exactly.
yeah, I think they said the odds of it actually hitting a city, hitting the world and hitting the city would be the same as winning the lottery and getting struck by lightning on the same day. I mean, it can happen. Anything theoretically can happen, but it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So, no, so back to the catfish thing. What I was going to talk about, and I don't know if you've seen anything else, but the show on MTV, Catfish,
Right.
which started when Neve Showman years ago got catfished himself. He was talking to a person online for a couple of years and went to basically, I can't remember exactly, it's been years since I saw the documentary, but he made a documentary about going to find them because he found out it was like a woman in her late 40s, early 50s, and he was like in his early 20s or something. And she was catfishing him. And she's not all there. They're actually friends now. He is a very caring person. He actually like he wanted to figure out why. That was the whole point. So him and his friend, made this documentary, and it's very dry and simple, but like it's good. It's good. It's good watch. I want to say it's like an hour long or something, and it's totally worth it. I was turned on to it by um, my wife. Basically, she watched reality TV. I didn't. Met her.
Right.
She got me into watching this, and I'd heard of the show. I knew the concept behind it, but I watched that and then started watching some episodes. And when it first started on MTV, it was very documentary kind of based. There's a couple little things here and there, but you could tell it wasn't overproduced. It wasn't reaction shots. It wasn't scripted. Any of that. You can just tell. It was
Right.
like it wasn't like watching, The Bachelor or something. It's not like that. So very interesting. And some of them were boring. Some of them were, interesting. There's some crazy people out there doing crazy stuff. I mean, I've been online for years. I understand the concept of pretending to be different people online and stuff, but it got to a point where you're watching some of this and you're like, how did you pull that off? How did you independently talk to 80 different people as three different personalities over the course of
Right.
6 years and get $200,000 out of people and never get caught? It's amazing. There's people that have been on there. They can change their voice. They can go from male to female perfectly. So they can have conversations with either sex on the phone and pretend to be the different people. They are a true con artist with it. Now, a good chunk of them, there's revenge people that do it to exes. There's people that do it literally just out of loneliness, or, you got the 500-pound, not so good looking person sitting at home that's talking to Instagram models and
Yeah.
pretending to be somebody else. You got that too. Now, what really bothered me was as the show progressed, they started, more budget and a little production value, and the younger ages started watching it and getting more into this format of like needing more entertainment. So what they started doing is they started doing little animated text bubbles in between. So when they're like, "Oh, I see you two were talking," and "Oh, wow, there's some, there's some you calling each other pet names right off the bat," yeah, yeah, da da da. Then
Yeah.
they show these fake animated things of their pictures talking, going across the screen, and they play the music. They play like some John Mayer shit, some or whatever in the background while they're
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay. Then they go back to the scene they're talking again. Every time it goes to commercial break, it's doing this hopping around and stuff. And it's like, I don't want to see the text bubbles. I don't want to hear the music. I want the documentary side of it because
Right.
this is actually an interesting subject. You guys have something here. You have real human behavior on screen. It's not scripted. And then it started getting to the point that every time they took a new person, they'd be like, it used to be they'd call him up and he'd be like, hey, is this John? Yeah, who's this? Oh, this is Neve from Catfish. What, really? Oh my God, hi. He starts talking to him. Now it's, hey, who's this? Oh, is this Mike? Yeah, this is Mike. Hey, is this Neve? How's it going? Yeah, you were just called by the producer's head time saying you were going to get a call in the next 30 minutes by so and so. Or they walk out of their house, they're all dressed perfectly. All the cameramen are on the lawn. Oh, what are you doing in my house? Yeah, dude, they've been here for 20 minutes setting up. You knew he was
Yeah.
there. Like I'm like that. I get some of that's production. You got to do that. But now the last thing they did last season that was driving me nuts instantly proved that this girl is not this girl. They see the girl is a famous Instagram model. Somebody's pretending to be her. They actually get in touch because he's famous now. They have stars on the show. They get in touch with the actual Instagram model. They get her on video chat. She's like, "It's not me. I'm not talking to this guy." Okay, so who is it, right? Tell the guy, and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "That sucks," or whatever. And they're like, "Yeah." They go to commercial. They play the sad music, and they start showing her picture. The fake girl's pictures up there, and there's popping up all the text bubbles with her pictures. Why are you showing her pictures? We just proved on the show it's not
This.
her.
Yeah.
Stop showing her. Show her picture and fade it out, saying "oop" or cross it out. Nope, not her. That's what annoys me. That's what I want to talk about. The overproduction of these reality shows, which make
Oh
them
yeah.
even worse than they are. And that's what takes away from it. And I've been noticing there's a few reality shows I do watch. Some of them are getting worse. Some of them are really pushing the limit to the point of me not wanting to watch them anymore. And this is one of them. And I'm starting to feel these little add-ins talking to the camera and those kind of things are starting to get into regular sitcoms. They're starting to get into the talk shows. They're doing all the tech stuff on the talk shows. You try watching, you know, I don't know, Today Show or Drew Barrymore or something, whatever it is. You get more and
Yeah.
more of this animated stuff, and it's like it's feeling faker than ever.
Well, you know why they do that? It's you're trying to keep your attention.
It's distracting,
Yeah, but they're trying to keep your attention so that you're still watching the show.
right?
The younger people, like the younger viewers, they'll sit there watching it. The person's just talking and talking and talking, and they start losing interest. And then all of a sudden, you pop
They're
these
on their
things up
phone
at them
anyways. They're not even watching the screen. They're on the phone listening to it. Why do they need the animation?
because they're trying to get your attention.
Yeah, yeah. And you're now creating more attention deficit.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. All the screens. It's just. Have you ever seen Ready Player One?
Yes.
There's a point where they're going to be coming up with the upgraded model, the CEO, and he shows all the ads that are going to pop up on the screens while you're playing.
Yep.
We're there.
That's exactly where we're at.
Idiocracy. That's where we're getting to. I
Yeah.
I love that. I love Idiocracy. Do you know the whole backstory of the Crocs?
No, I watched that movie a while ago, but I
They
was inebriated at the time.
watch it again because every couple of years I happen to see it on TV and it's more true. And it's actually becoming a history lesson. This is 1,000 years in the future. It's becoming history. Sad. The
Yeah.
the producers, whoever it was for the show, might have even been Mike Judge, wanted a shoe for stupid people in the future that was generic and looked like everything. So they created Crocs. That's where they came from.
Oh my god.
And I don't have a problem with Crocs. I don't like them personally. I don't wear them. They're not comfortable for me. A lot of people do. Good. and it's footwear, and you know what? And they're pretty versatile. I mean, they're cheap, great, but I mean, I find that hilarious. That's what I like about that movie, though. There's a lot of stuff that's in it from 2002 or whenever it
Yeah,
was that
yeah.
now it's become history. I mean, and that's life imitating art. I mean, that happens too. I mean, obviously, the only reason we have iPads is because of Star Trek. I mean, the only reason, there's a lot of stuff like that that
Oh yeah, we
it
all got it from science fiction back in watching, old movies. It's why we have cell phones.
there's a good theory that if Jules Verne was not a time traveler or a prophet, that he is the reason we have a lot of the technology we have now. Same with Tesla. That's different. That's not a content creator, but I mean generally, I mean Jules Verne, you know submarines and whatever. I mean you want to create out of that.
Right.
I mean that's it, there's I mean, I don't know. But that whole thing with the catfish thing, I wanted to get that off my chest. It just drove me nuts. I'd sit there watching it. I watched Jersey Shore. I never thought I would. She got me into it. I love it now. And I think it's because I don't watch the old ones. I've tried watching the old ones. I don't enjoy it. It's annoying. The new ones are different because they're grown up. And there's still some of that scripted. There's some stuff in there. But
Yeah.
in general, there's a lot of funny moments. And there's more like you can relate because you're the right age now. And it's all about them just being going on family vacations now. Basically, they all travel somewhere to do something stupid, and whatever.
Yeah.
The girls get annoying. The guys are hilarious. I love watching the guys on there. They're just funny, and they're. I noticed the other day when they were doing the beginning of the season, they do this thing for some reason, and it's the first episode. Shot, screen, 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 club, screen, screen, screen. I'm like having an epileptic fit. I'm watching this thing hop around to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna have a panic attack. I can't watch this. It's like I'm watching an old style like real like flip like going through like a
Yeah.
flip show, and they do that and they hop around. Somebody's talking, they go back. They only do it on the first episode of the season, and they've done it for 3 seasons, I think now. And I don't know why. It's their way of doing like a recap of the prior show, and they do clips,
Probably.
but the clips are sped up too much. It's like when you're running a video and playback at 1.5. It's like something's off. Something is off. This doesn't feel right.
No, it doesn't feel right at all.
So,
Damn.
oh man.
No, no. I see. I didn't. I never got into reality TV. I tried. Like I tried watching Big Brother.
Yeah, she got me to watch a season or two of that. I could watch the celebrity one because I could relate to. I not relate, but I could recognize the people.
I watched one or two episodes of it, and just the idea of a bunch of people living in a house with cameras watching you 24/7. I was like, are we in jail? Is this a penitentiary? Are we in a special housing unit? Yeah.
Right. It's pretty crazy though because it's like again I've watched part of the season and I like the competition side of it. I don't like
Oh
the
yeah.
other parts.
It's very, very real worldish to me.
Yeah, and I never got into Real World. She did, and that's something that my wife she grew up watching Real World and Jersey Shore and all that stuff because she was right at that age to watch that stuff. And
Right.
hey, you remember Chris Downs?
Yes.
He watched Jersey Shore. I never knew that. He watched Jersey Shore like when it came out.
What?
I never pictured that. I was telling him about watching it one day. Oh no,
Yeah. No.
I had a T-shirt on. That's one of the sayings they say. And he's like, "Oh hey, GTL." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Jersey." I'm like, "Oh, you know that? You watched it?" He goes, "Yeah, I watched it from the beginning." I'm like, "What?
What?
You're the last person, the most real person I really generally know, anti, society media, whatever, or not media, but anti-society and fake, and you're watching that.
Right?
Pretty crazy. I mean, it's impressive, I guess. I don't know, but well, I think we've done
Yeah.
a good time run here because we're going to use up all our topics for the next 3 months, and we keep going.
Yeah. The way we
um,
keep going, yeah, we've used up all of our topics. We're gonna have to find something new to talk about.
I do want to add though. I think that overall this format has been fantastic.
Yeah,
I feel like this is something that if I was joining into or listening or even going from there, I would hang out with it. I would actually follow it for a bit.
yeah.
Um, I I do want to do something I brought up. That person I work with, I was talking about this format and doing this, and she is an online content creator in various forms. I won't get into that, but she had mentioned about having like we have the ability to invite co-hosts and guests, interviewing, having somebody else on there. And she was saying, because I was talking about the catfish thing, I was talking about online. We actually were talking about some of the topics we're going to be talking about. And she said too, she said, you should probably get like one of the OnlyFans people that do that to have them talk about it. Explaining the money
And
side.
that would be cool. The only issue is when it comes to this platform, you are not allowed to talk about that.
Well, you can,
Yeah,
but you
you
cannot.
can.
There's certain things you have to say and you
Yeah,
have to watch. But that was the whole thing. You can't get to the Howard Stern level. It
no,
can't be
no,
graphic in any sense. But I mean the money side of it. That's what I want to talk about. You can't be promoting yourself. You can't be saying promoting the site.
right. And you can't be
But
promoting the website.
right. But it can be brought up saying, this person works for a well-known, we'll call it OF, and from the business perspective, how has that been treating you? Do you
Yeah,
like it?
but
I,
yeah.
short interview, because the other side of it is I know one of the people that actually work at a club doing, you know, and I've always been interested in that side of it. I actually turned down a job offer a little while ago to be the head of the cash room for Rick's in Portland. Yeah, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it because it was good money. It was 4 days a week. The problem is your shift starts at 10 o'clock at night. Oh no, sorry, 8 o'clock at night and goes till 2 to 3 in the morning.
Oh
Friday,
yeah, it's a
Saturday,
late night
Friday,
shift.
Saturday, and Sunday because it's an auditor, and they don't audit the next morning like every other friggin' business on the planet does. They audit live. They audit to the point because you have to pay out the people that night if they're
Hmm.
not set. That's not the right way to set those places up, and they're backwards. And I was kind of like, I went back and forth with general manager about it. I'm like, I'd be interested in it provided this. I'm honest with you, I think the job started at 67 a year and plus tips. You get a part of the cash pool at the end of the night. I'm like, really? And I like those environments. That'd be fun.
Didn't
But
sound bad.
no, I'm like, yeah, it's a prestigious thing. It's coming out dressed up nice with your blazer and walking across the floor and being like, how's it going? That kind of feel. But,
Yeah,
I don't know. But I was like, no. So I ended up turning that one down because of just the time. I'm like, no, I would never, nobody be home all night with the kids and all that. Like,
right.
I'm like, I just can't do. Like, that's my dream job. Where was this job when I was in my early 20s?
Exactly,
I would have
exactly.
been running that place by now. I would have been rich. But I'm like, oh my god, that was my dream when I was like out of high school, is to own a club and do that. I always wanted to do that, but yeah, that's a whole different story. But yeah, so I was thinking about that. We could interview people in different industries, different things, talk about stuff. We could also. It's funny, I've noticed we haven't had anybody else join.
No, we've had like one or two people I've watched. That's it.
Yeah, and it's just weird how like when we were trending the first time around,
I don't
and
know.
so I think we're gonna have this. We're gonna have to use. You need to start looking up online the how you get these things rolling in that sense, because I know there's different ways to get channels to start promoting you.
Oh yeah. And well, there's also a way you can promote yourself here on TikTok. But yeah, you can get other channels to promote you. The other thing is too is we got to promote ourselves on here. That's the biggest thing on TikTok is you got to promote yourself.
Right.
I shared it, uh, but it's mainly you got to let people know that you're doing it and here set us up at this time or something like that.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not worried about it yet. I want to make sure that we're rolling. I
Mm-hmm.
do want to say one of the topics I want to discuss next week. We're gonna go there. We're gonna push the envelope. Maybe this will get some kickback. I
Wait a
want
minute,
to.
hold on. Let me make sure I can write this one down. You want a what?
Next week, I want to talk about trans athletes.
You're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me on this one, but we'll do it. We will do it.
Yeah,
Trans athletes.
yeah.
All right.
I have rehearsed this discussion in my head, in the shower, and where I'm driving multiple times. It's come across. Um, I'm very liberal and progressive, but yeah,
Oh,
I have some.
I've read a few things about it.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm. This is yeah. We won't get into it now. I don't want to ruin it, but I want to talk about that next week. I want to have that. I think that should be our one of our main discussions. You know, what we didn't get to this week. I know
huh.
we kind of dropped it. Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I know we dropped. We dropped Speaker of the House.
Yeah, all I'll say is, yeah, I thought it was how I had a little glimmer of hope going, hey, you know what? Maybe he's more of a politician. But now, after seeing the research online about who he is,
Yeah, I
whoo,
did a lot of. Yeah, we.
he's nuts.
He's more than nuts, and I think this is about the time where churches need to stop bitching about the separation of church and state.
Yeah. Oh, we're a Christian nation.
Bull.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm like, I don't care. And this is bipartisan. I'm sorry. You're for individual liberties and freedoms on the right. You're for religious freedom on the left. It's the same thing with this. There's a reason for separation. It's the reason we had it for 200 years.
it's the reason why we've tried to have it. I honestly think,
It's
and
still it disconnect. Yeah, it's still there.
yeah,
But
the church still has something to do with what's going on in the government today. You can't tell me
oh,
they don't.
oh, oh, Blake, the anti-abortion thing. I mean, that wouldn't exist.
Yeah,
It didn't
yeah,
exist when the church wasn't as involved. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. But I
yeah.
also think that there's a big factor there of, there's we're also not an Islamic state or, have some kind of state-run religion that
No,
dictates
true.
literally who the leader is. That is its own thing. We are worlds apart from that level. But, and that's fine. Where we are now is we got to put the wall up. We got to draw the line. That's
Yeah,
it. No,
exactly.
let's go back the other way. I, we don't need the Catholic Church or a Baptist Church, or we don't need, you know we don't need the leader of the Mormons running, whatever.
Yeah,
We don't. You want that? Go buy an island. Go start your own little religion somewhere, and you know do whatever, because it's not going to work. And I love these people that sit there and complain about it, saying, "Oh, it's Christian religion's fine. Israel is Jewish, and they're okay, and that's fine." And oh wait, Islamic? No, no, can't do that.
yeah.
Just nix it all. Get rid of all of it. That's the way I look at it. I'm an atheist. I don't. I
Well,
you can have your own religion. Don't make it part of my country.
in all actuality, if the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims actually sat down and talked to each other, they'd realize they were the same to begin with.
Yeah, it's all the same derivative crap. It all comes from ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia, anyways.
Right,
It's
and they
it's
all
all
believe
from
in
the.
the same thing.
I know there's a couple little changes there. You have McDonald's and Burger King arguing who has the best quality food.
Exactly,
Neither of you.
it's the same thing.
I
The
may like
same
one
thing.
more than the other. I may really dislike one of them, but you're still the same crap.
Yeah, you just did a different brand name. You just branded it differently.
Yep. And then you have a bunch of little pop-up that pop up around there, and and that's what you have. It's like, no, no. The, you want to do it yourself at home. You have your own home. You make your own food. That's how you get your high quality. You
Right.
want to be religious, you want to be spiritual, do it yourself. Be spiritual in your own mind. Don't go forcing it on everybody else. That's
No,
that's where I
you
come in.
shouldn't be.
But all right. Well, yeah, so I don't know if you can. You're co-host, right? Is that how
Yeah,
that
you're
you
the
guys?
host.
Right. I don't know if you can take the video clips and save them because you co-hosted.
No, it's no. It'll the video clip will show up. It'll show up on yours. It won't show
Okay.
up on mine.
All right. I got to read more into this whole creator thing because I've seen other people do hosting where it's two people split 50-50 on the screen.
Yep,
I'm
I've
sure
seen
you've
it
seen.
too. I've seen it too. I think it's called guest,
Oh, is that
but
a guest? I mean, because I figured a co-host.
well, it might be. It might be. We could try. Well, I'll try it on mine next time. Next week when we you want to do this next week?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I've got Thursdays off. I think it's a good time for me, and I mean, I want to keep rolling with this, and I want to expand our,
Next Thursday.
I think YouTube is going to be a big piece. I don't know if I need to get hook up a second camera and run the same exact live on YouTube at the same time.
That's what you'd have to do.
Yeah, because I mean, I think though with the desktop with the creator, I think you can set it up where as you're running, you can have all formats recording at the same time. I think there's a way to do that. Um, So I'm going to find out though because my audio mixing board I just bought and all that for all the sound effects and everything can go up to three devices at the same time. So I think there's a way to backtrack it to do it that way. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to be on YouTube though because at least our full videos will be available and saved forever.
Right. Exactly. No, I agree with that. If we can do it up on YouTube, that'd be great.
This is really just a trial run, and I mean, obviously, we didn't. We're not going to get a lot of traction on here because we're not peeling an egg.
Or yeah, or whatever.
Doing makeup while wearing skimpy clothing and listening
The
to
no,
rappers.
no, we're not doing the NPC thing. No, no, can't do
Yeah,
it. Can't do
no.
it.
So yeah, exactly. So I think
Okay.
that's where we
So
have to go with
we're
next.
gonna do this again next Thursday. It might be a little bit later though. I got doctor
And,
appointments.
yeah, I'm fine up until I can go until 2 o'clock. My cutoff's got to be 2 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
Either that or I'm available next Wednesday at the moment.
See, I'm not sure what I'm doing. We'll have to get back to we'll have to get back to each other on that one
Yeah, we'll figure
because
it out.
yeah, there's doctor appointments early in the morning on Thursday. Other than that, I don't think I have anything going on.
Yeah, I gotta leave out of the house by probably 2:30 on Thursday. So as long as it's before that,
Oh yeah,
we start at 1 or something. I mean, I'm good.
yeah, yeah. No, if we can keep it at an hour, I think we're gonna get hour, hour and a half.
Yeah, and I think we'll get more to that point. I mean, this was just us catching up at the same time,
True, true,
and
true. I
trying
haven't
some
talked
stuff
to you in a
out.
while.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like the laughter in here. I think we're having a good dynamic. I think this is gonna run decent. You know,
It'll be good.
yeah, I think it's we're not gonna cause any problems. Not until next week's topic.
Next week might be a different story altogether.
Hey, all publicity is good publicity. Okay, I mean,
Exactly,
just forget,
exactly.
especially in a viral world, the worse something is, the better it's going to get traction. I mean, within reason. I mean, you don't want to be, canceled, but I don't think that'd be the problem because we
Oh, it
know
wouldn't be the first time I've been canceled.
yeah, I haven't experienced that publicly, so yeah, I have this beautiful dynamic of being able to kind of say mostly whatever I want in a certain way that people just kind of go, yeah, and they move
Yeah.
on. Yeah, they don't they don't get into an argument. They're like,
We don't stay long. We don't stay long.
yeah. So,
All
all
right.
right, man. Well, you have a good day.
You as well. You take it easy. And until next time.
Until next time, and thank you everybody who may catch this on the after shows or clips or whatever it is.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
this has been the Jab with the Bryan and Mr. J, and let's keep this going and look forward to episode 2 next week.
All right. Next week it is. Until next time.